What is up? Welcome back to another video. Today I am going to be talking about the process that I use to get out of a rut, as well as the top 10 things that I have been doing for the past few weeks to get myself out of a rut. I am also currently still doing these things to make sure that I continue to progress in all areas of life. The first thing I want to say is, if you have searched up this video because you were looking for some way to get yourself out of a rut, or where you're feeling a little bit down, I just want to give you a big hug and say that I'm so sorry to hear that you are having a tough time. Just know that tough times will come and go in life, but you can always overcome them. So I hope that this video helps you in some way or another. And of course, if it's something a little bit more than a rut and you're really struggling to get yourself out of it, please reach out for support. Reach out to a loved one. Go see a therapist or a counselor to talk through all your emotions in a safe and non-judgment kind of space. I think that's really important. So let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, there's actually a 3-step process that I use in order to actually get myself to the point in which I can then apply the 10 things that I actually do, the actions that I take in order to get out of a rut. The first thing is to actually accept and admit that I'm in some kind of a rut and something isn't quite working. So it's kind of admitting that I know something needs to change. Once you know that something needs to change, number 2 is either speaking to someone or journaling about how you're feeling. So I like to speak to a therapist, or I've worked on my communication skills and I now feel confident enough to be able to speak to my fiance Ross or a good friend about how I'm feeling. And I think it is really important to have someone that you can talk to. And I know that not everyone feels comfortable about talking about their emotions, because trust me, I've been there before. It's taken me a good couple of years to get to this point. So speaking to a therapist is a really kind of safe place for you to talk, where you're not going to feel kind of judged by, say, peers around you. You don't feel like you're being a burden to, say, your loved ones by kind of sharing all the thoughts on your mind. If you also really struggle with talking to people, then journaling is a good thing to do. And you're probably thinking, like, what do I journal? How do I even know what to write? So a few questions you could think of when it comes to journaling might be things like, what's currently bringing me joy? What sparks a light inside me? What makes me happy throughout my days? On the flip side of that, what's bringing you unhappiness? What's leaving you feeling more stressed as opposed to alleviated throughout your day? Whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, there will be certain things in your life that you should be able to identify that are either bringing you joy or sadness throughout your days, throughout your weeks, which eventually adds up over time. Another couple of questions that I'll think about are things like, am I doing the things each day because I want to do them, or is it because I feel like I should do them? That's just something to think about. Like, are you doing the things that truly satisfy and fulfill you, or are you just doing the things that you know you have to do and you're just going through the motion every single day? Following on from that, when we speak about fulfillment, how are the relationships in your life? How are the relationships with your friends, with your family, with your partner? Are you feeling kind of fulfilled when you leave hanging out with your friends, or are you feeling more drained and lethargic after catching up with them? I think it's really important to take note of how we feel when we spend time with the certain people in our circles, and it's always a good idea to audit your circle and how you're feeling. Once I've spoken to either a therapist, a friend, Ross, or even just journaled a little bit, that's when number 3 comes into play. So this is where I kind of look at my goals for life. What do I want to be achieving, in the next few weeks, the next few months, maybe in the next year? And then from there, I'm going to look at what needs to change, because nothing changes if nothing changes. So for me personally, it'll come down to writing down my goals, reflecting on them, thinking about what I can change, but we don't want to get too overwhelmed by trying to change too many things in one go. So I'm talking about a couple of small changes that you could do that could help you. For example, if you notice that maybe in the mornings you feel really stressed because you're rushing around all the time, it might be a simple change like going to bed a little bit earlier and waking up a little bit earlier so you can have a more mindful start to your day. That's just a very simple kind of example off the top of my head. Following on from that, when we speak about changes, there are 10 things that I have really been working on over the past few weeks to just help myself get out of a rut and feel so much happier overall. I'm honestly still working on things. We all have our highs and lows, and I didn't start social media to be this perfect fitness girl online. I started to share my journey, and a part of that is being vulnerable and being real with you. I've had a really tough few weeks. I injured my neck last week, which has definitely been playing on my emotions, especially with not being able to train, and honestly everything's just been like a bit much. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's always something for me to look forward to, and that's something that I've really been focusing on, all the exciting things I have coming up. But from a more practical level, I wanted to give you 10 things that I've been doing. Hopefully it helps you. Maybe you could try a few of them and let me know how you go. So the first thing I did is download a free meditation app. I tried a few different ones, but I found one that was completely free, and that is called Smiling Mind. It's a non-for-profit. This isn't sponsored at all. It was just one of the ones that popped up. I loved that it was free, and it's kind of a meditation app, but it has a lot of different kind of meditations on different things, and it really just talks you through all of it, which is what I really need because I find it so hard to quiet my mind. So I've been listening to a few different ones from there. I do need to get more regular with it. Like, I'd love to do it every single day, but when I was in like my hardest part, I just would go to the park outside in nature with my headphones on and just sit down in the sun, soak it up, and feel really good to be outside. And what I learned from that was a lot about deep breathing. I also learned a lot about deep breathing through the book Think Like a Monk by my friend SHETTY. So number 2 is deep breathing. I've been really taking time to slow down my body and my mind throughout the day, at least 2 times a day, where I just kind of slow it all down and I stop and I relax my body and I breathe in and breathe out. Nice and slow, honestly, for 5 to 10 times. It just makes me feel so much better, and my body is responding really well to that. My heart rate has come down by 10 resting beats in the past week or so from doing this, because my heart rate, as I was getting more stressed, was just increasing, and it hit a really big high when I hurt my neck and I was just really not in a good place. So deep breathing has definitely been something beneficial for me. Number 3, gratitude. I do think that this is thrown around a lot, and people always say like, oh, you should say the things that you're grateful for each day. And it sounds kind of airy-fairy, but there's so much science behind the positive impact on your body and your mind from being grateful for things each day. So something I've been doing, which I've been learning from a lot of self-development books, is noting a couple of things that I'm grateful for at the start of the day. And then at the end of the day, I'll sometimes ask Ross, or even just ask myself and journal it, what are a couple of things that went really well today? So you're really waking up in the morning with a positive attitude, and then you're going to bed being grateful for the things that you did in the day or anything good that happened in the day. And even on your darkest days, I'm sure you can really try and find something positive in it. Some days I do have to think a little bit more than other days, but I do think it's a great start and a great end to the day. So maybe you could get an accountability partner for this, whether it's your partner, whether it's a good friend. Each morning and each night, text each other 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things that went well in the day. And I think that's a really good kind of positive way to start and end the day. Number 4, going for a walk each day. So I have been loving the aspect of going for a walk each day for 75 hard. In the afternoons, usually I'll do my walk outside, rain or shine, but recently, luckily, it's been a little bit more sunny. So I'll usually listen to an educational podcast on my walks. My current favorite one right now is the Huberman Lab. So it's a scientific type podcast, learning a lot about many different things I'll talk about shortly. But mainly, I find going for a walk outside, it breaks up my day. It gets me the fresh air outside instead of staying in the apartment all day working. I also soak up the sunshine, get some vitamin D in, and it's just nice to be outside. I think moving our bodies just feels so good, and it's hard to feel like in a rut and unhappy or down when you're walking around seeing so many cute dogs walking in the park and just soaking up some fresh air and sunshine. Number 5, taking time to call a friend. Life gets crazy sometimes, and I'm honestly not the best at catching up with friends face to face. I know it's really hard to, connect with everyone that you want to see throughout the week. Life gets busy, but giving a friend a call for like a quick 30 minutes while you go for a walk around the block or something can be a really good way to just kind of bounce ideas off each other or check in with how one another's going. Maybe you could talk about your goals and get you fired up for the week ahead. Yesterday here in New Zealand, it was a Tuesday, and I went for a walk around the park for like 45 minutes, and I called my friend and we had a really good chat, and it left me feeling so much better after that. I just felt really happy and ready to kind of slay today, and today I feel so much better after that. So I do recommend speaking to a friend, even if it's just on the phone for like 30 minutes a week if you're having a really tough time, because sometimes just speaking to someone you care about can really help relieve the tension that you have on you. Speaking of relieving tension, number 6, stepping back from the idea of perfection. Everyone is striving to be perfect all the time. Well, not everyone is, but I know a lot of people have this pressure on themselves to be perfect all the time. And in all honesty, perfection doesn't even exist. We are so much better off just focusing on progressing. I don't care if, you know what, you're not going to hit your nutrition, your steps, your water, your sleep 100% all the time. No one hits all their goals 100% all the time. But if you are getting that little 1% better each day, it's going to add up over time. So instead of worrying about being all in or all out and whatever your goals are, just focus on, what went well today, what can you improve on tomorrow, and then move forward from that. So breaking away from the pressure of trying to be perfect all the time has just been like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I'm merely just aiming to be better than I was last week, and eventually that improves, and it's a compounding effect. Eventually it all adds up to you being so much further ahead than if you were simply seeing it as, okay, I'm all in on my goals or I'm all out of my goals and I'm just not going to do anything. I always feel better when I'm progressing. Mindset. So I have been reading a self-development book for about the past 10 weeks. So I'll read 10 pages every day. I've gone through quite a lot of self-development books in the past 2 to 3 years. I definitely have a few key favorites, and I've covered them on my YouTube channel before. Not only do you learn from people all around the world that are very successful, people that you wouldn't usually have access to in your everyday life, but you also feel successful by reading and learning. They do say knowledge is power, but knowledge alone isn't power. It's knowledge and taking action that is actually power. So not only is it, reading these self-development books and working on my mindset with podcasts and things like that, I take notes, I highlight, I actively read, and then I try and apply the different principles that I learn in order for me to kind of progress in my mental state of mind and in my business and things like that. I want to be a better person. I'm striving to always be the best that I can be, and reading and listening to podcasts allows me to progress in that area, and that allows me to feel like I'm more successful. It allows me to kind of get myself out of a mental rut as well. Exercise. So you're probably like, well, ANJULI, you always exercise anyway. Yes, so I absolutely love exercise, but the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I have been starting the day with movement every day for so long, and it makes such a big difference. I'm not saying that you have to work out every single day, because that wouldn't be beneficial. Our bodies need time to rest and recover. But to start the day with movement could mean yoga, it could mean breathing, meditation, it could mean going for a walk with your partner. Any kind of movement to just get your body going in the morning feels good. Exercise helps to boost our endorphins, and honestly, the high I get from just moving my body really helps to kickstart my day. And even with a sore neck, I was still going to the gym with Ross and just riding the bike just to move my body. Like anything I could do to start my day off right and set the tone for the day, I would do it. So that's something that I'm really passionate about. Exercise has so many different benefits, and I think it's just something that anyone could benefit from, even if it's just waking up and doing yoga on YouTube or going for a walk around the block. Try it and let me know how you go. Nutrition. So I am big on nutrition, but like I mentioned before, the Huberman Lab podcast, I've been listening to a lot of his podcasts. I absolutely love them. I have been really looking into my nutrition to make sure it's aligned with my goals and just tweaking a few things to make sure I'm taking care of my gut health. serotonin, dopamine, and gut health have effects on our mood, our sleep, our energy, and so many other aspects of our overall well-being. So by making sure that I'm nourishing my body, I'm also making sure that I'm controlling the hormones within my body to help give myself the best chance I have to get out of a rut. So usually if people are feeling kind of demotivated and just not really having some kind of a drive, sometimes it's to do with their dopamine levels being a little bit lower. So there's lots of different reasons for this, of course, but there's just so much information out there, and I've been loving learning more about these different things. Caffeine is something that I felt I was starting to rely on to get me through my workouts in the morning. We wake up at 4:30 every single morning, Monday to Sunday, but I started finding that I was having like kind of a scoop and a little bit more of OxyShred each day. So I was becoming really reliant on caffeine, and then I have another scoop later on in the morning. And I don't drink coffee, so that's the only caffeine I get, but it just wasn't leaving me feeling really good. I was starting to feel a little bit more anxious. I felt like, I don't know, I just felt really stressed. And of course, caffeine is a stressor on the body. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're already feeling like anxious and stressed, adding in caffeine's not necessarily going to be beneficial for you. So I decided a few days ago to just stop having any caffeine. And I took a little break only for a few days, and it did wonders for me. I felt so much better. I didn't really need caffeine because I haven't been able to train because of my neck, but I just found that this helped. So if you're feeling like you're really hardwired, you're feeling anxious and a little bit like, I guess, on the edge, cutting back caffeine can really help, or cutting it out completely if you feel like you can handle that. If you're someone that drinks a lot of coffee and then you cut out caffeine cold turkey, you will find probably that you get headaches. So you can just taper it off a little bit by bit, or of course just cut it out altogether and then deal with the headaches. So yeah, once I cut out caffeine, I found that I was feeling a lot better and a little less stressed. So then I wanted to look at sleep and supplements. So I thought, okay, well, if I've cut out caffeine, I'm probably going to sleep better. But I thought, you know what, I should get back into routine with my supplements. So I've been taking these supplements from Be Pure for years now. Like, this is not something new that I'm like, go buy these supplements. I've been using them for about 5.5 to 6 years now, I'm pretty sure, maybe even longer. So I thought, okay, I need to be more regular with them. So we are talking about things like my vitamin D, the fish oils, which has been shown to help with depression, gut health ones, probiotics, digestive enzymes, zinc, magnesium. So I take magnesium before I go to bed. High quality sleep and a good sleep routine can really help with the overall balance of your hormones, even including things like your hunger hormones. And I just feel as if when I sleep better, my mood and my mind is so much clearer throughout the day. So that's just something that has really helped me, and hopefully that helps you. If you're finding that you're not going to bed on time, you don't have a good sleep routine, please have a look into that. It might mean that you need to turn screens off an hour earlier. It might mean that you need to get a good book so that you can read it before you go to bed instead of scrolling on Instagram or something on your phone instead. So that's the process and some of the changes that I have used and will continue to use to get myself fully out of this little rut that I've gone through. I just wanted to stress the fact again that it is totally normal to have highs and lows on your fitness journey or on your journey through life. We all have tough times, but what matters most is that we don't give up. If you feel like what you're going through right now is a lot bigger than just a rut, please don't be afraid to reach out to someone for help. I think that therapy needs to be normalized. Like, I used to be so afraid to admit to anyone that, oh, I went to therapy because I thought people would think something was wrong with me. But in actual fact, it takes a lot of courage to be able to be vulnerable and to reach out for help when you need it. So if you are struggling, don't be afraid to reach out for help. I hope that this video helped you in some way or another. I hope that you are having an amazing day or night, depending where you are in the world, and I will catch you in the next video.